it's the first victim. I say as a bit of a joke, but the first person who has fallen to woke 2 electric boogaloo, the reawakening of woke in the United States of America because of how fucking dog shit specifically the Trump administration's policies are. We love woke too, don't we, ladies and gentlemen, those in between. But Ashley St. Clair, for those who may not know, she is one of Elon Musk's baby mamas. Had a baby with him, aka definitely did not have sex with Elon, because I'm convinced that Elon does not have sex. Period. End of story. Only does IVF, aka in vitro fertilization, right? AKA using like a fucking test tube baby of. Oh, shut up! I don't want to explain in vitro fertilization. You know, uses a needle and not his dick. Okay, because I don't know, probably doesn't have one because Elon's a fucking weirdo. Anywho, she had a baby with Elon. It turns out Elon is a pretty shit dad. It's a shocker. I'm shocked. You're shocked. We're all shocked. Elon's a bad dad. Who would have fucking thought that was the case? But, you know, who would have thought? Yeah, you know, Neuralink, biochip, the ketamine addiction. Probably his dick doesn't work as well anymore. That's a very good point, Boy Meets Mini. That's definitely where I was going with all this, of course. But it makes a lot of sense that someone like Elon is a piece of shit. I mean, I've talked about this before, but if you are someone who is as rich and as powerful as someone like Elon Musk, let's be honest here, your brain just doesn't work like normal. Yeah, you also become very soy. That's true. Your brain doesn't work like normal. You're a piece of shit. Blah, 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 blah. You think of people as lesser. And the thing that pretty much did it for Ashley St. Clair was the fact that Elon was not paying his fucking child support to his to all his baby mamas. For those who may not know, Elon Musk net worth. Yeah. I think you can afford to pay child support for like the army of children that you're trying to sire, who you think are going to be geniuses, even though, despite the fact that you yourself are like one of the biggest, dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. Anywho, what do we have here?
What preceded that was just many, many more images being produced, and the age I was in them got younger and younger, down to 14 years old. It was horrific.
Wait, what? Okay, so... Okay, a little bit of extra context here. Basically, Ashley St. Clair was a bit of an anti-wokey, okay? She used to be a bit of a conservatoid or whatever. And there was the whole sort of fiasco with her losing her check mark initially. Then she got it back because of just how much Elon hated her, blah, blah, blah. She basically talked about how, here's the exact post, how she basically hates the right because of the fact that they're all a bunch of bootlicking feds, pedophiles, and nerds. Newsflash, Ashley, they've always been this exactly, bootlicking feds, pedophiles, and nerds. And you decided, again, to probably be a part of the right because you were part of, like, some culture war wave or whatever. Now, here's the thing. She is looking to seek penance for what she used to believe. And I do believe her, considering what she said here to Juniper, feeling immense guilt for what she did for being incredibly fucking transphobic, causing pain potentially for Vivian Wilson, aka one of Elon's kids who fucking hates his guts. Probably many others of his kids also probably really fucking hate his guts, because he definitely does not interact with any of his children except for like one of them or something. Yeah. And another reason why I think this is probably a sincere apology here by Ashley St. Clair is because she is willing to recognize that basically, oh, I know that I am definitely not going to get the apology from everyone. You know, people are going to see that I'm not being honest or whatever in my sort of dark woke pivot, quote unquote, right? So she's basically acknowledging, like, listen, what I think I did is now wrong. Is everyone going to forgive me? No, I don't think so. But, you know, I'm willing to just put myself out there and say I'm willing to apologize. She also did like an anti-trans children's book, because that was a grift amongst right-wingers for a while, and basically decided to take her name off of that. So I do think she is honest in her apology and trying to make amends. Or at least that's what I think.
Until recently, Ashley Clair was a star in the MAGA conservative influencer world. She built a large and powerful following by leaning into culture war rhetoric and boosting MAGA policies. She worked for Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA and gained national attention several years ago after publishing an anti-trans children's book. Ashley was welcomed into the upper echelons of the Trump world, and her proximity to power on the right only deepened when she began a relationship with Elon Musk, who she later had.
She's also very attractive in a conventional sense. She's a good-looking woman. That's definitely also going to help as well.
Child with. But lately, Ashley's public posture has begun to shift. After Grok, Elon Musk's AI chatbot, began to flood the internet with non-consensual deepfake content depicting Ashley and countless other women, along with even children, Ashley became increasingly outspoken of her criticisms of Musk and unchecked AI development. And just earlier this week, Ashley posted something that suggested that some of her...
So that's, okay, I see, interesting. That's the thing that pushed her over the edge, Grok being a fucking pedophile. Look, for those who may not know, this has happened at the beginning of the year. It's only been like 2 weeks into this fucking year. It's been so much ridiculous bullshit. Crazy. Basically, Grok, and this was a trend that a bunch of OnlyFans girls basically started. All these OnlyFans models, because they're idiots and just want to funnel people into their OnlyFans, started doing a bunch of shit with Grok, saying like, Grok, I don't know, put me in a fucking bikini or whatever. And the obvious thing that obviously ensued. I talked about this in a video, talking about consent, generally speaking. Now, if a woman puts herself in a bikini photo, right? That's her consenting to putting that photo on the internet. She is saying, like, I am okay with myself putting this photo of myself in a bikini or whatever out on the internet and having people, like, oogle at it. What they're not going to be okay with is this weird bot changing the bikini or putting, like, glue on the face in order to suggest what exactly? Oh, the fact that she got, like, fucking bukkakied. Now, that is a violation of consent. But conservatives don't give a flying fuck about consent because, like Ashley herself said, pedophiles, rapists, bootlicking feds, you know, the whole 9 yards. These people are just fucking complete demons. They don't give a shit about fucking consent because they do not think of women as people. They think of them as nothing more than just brood mares for the state.
Other earlier views on things like trans rights have changed. So I sat down with Ashley to talk about how she got started in conservative influencing, MAGA 1.0 versus MAGA 2.0, the right-wing internet pipeline, and how her positions on things like LGBTQ rights, healthcare, immigration, and more have evolved. I know it's really tempting to write people like Ashley off or get really angry at the harm that they've committed, but Ashley is surprisingly candid and thoughtful and does seem to want to make amends for the harm that she's caused over the years. Ashley, welcome to my podcast.
Hello, hello.
I mean, I really do. Honestly, I'm just gonna be so fucking for real. Just based off of this postal, I do think she's being honest. Really, like. And it's really, to me, it is just this line here. Now, because fully recognizing is just like, listen, I understand that I've been a piece of shit. I've been like an asshole for the past 10 years. And basically, everyone acknowledges that, or she just acknowledges that she's not going to get the apology from everyone, right? Does not, like, she knows she's not going to be able to get everybody. Because if she was a grifter about this, and this has happened before, there's a lot of right-wingers who say that they've reformed, say that they want to improve and do better. And what did they do exactly? They will just incredulously, they'll have like a misstep or whatever, and people will be like, oh, wait a minute. I thought you apologized and you weren't being as much of a piece of shit. Well, what happened? Then they'll basically just say, like, what do you mean? I apologize for all of my behavior. Look at my apology. This should be good enough. And then they'll just, like, incredulously wield that as a way saying, like, I totally apologize for all my stuff. Why are you people still mad at me? Why are you still behaving this way? Maybe I should have never actually left the right. And then they basically regress into being conservatives again. Essentially, what I'm saying here is that her recognizing that she's not, like, her apology's not going to basically reach everyone, and not everyone's going to be willing to apologize. Because, right, like, you apologize for misbehavior that you used to do to, like, a group of people. Not everybody's going to accept it. That's just how it is, right? Some people are going to be like, no, fuck you. You did all this. I don't give a shit. Most people will accept. Some won't. It just is what it is. There's varying degrees to all of this, right? So her recognizing that is why I think she's being more than likely sincere here.
I guess to start off, I feel like people really started to pay attention to your posts in the past week or so because you've been calling out just the obscene level of deepfake adult content that Grok has been producing. When did you first notice this was a problem? Like, how did this stuff make its way into your feed?
I was so upset that this even came into my purview to begin with, because right before I found out about it, I had made a statement saying that Twitter is a demonic place that makes me spiritually regress, and I would like to stay off of it. And then I got a text from a friend with a Twitter link, which is usually like what hit the timeline now. And so I go and I click it, and Grok was undressing me. It had taken a fully clothed photo and put me in a bikini, and I of course immediately asked Grok to stop.
Yeah, tell me about that interaction and when you saw that content.
Nah, I'm sorry to say, but yeah, you can thank the OnlyFans models who did that shit. This, by the way, it's not only Ashley St. Clair. This has been happening to basically, if you're an e-girl on Twitter, not even an e-girl, just like a girl on Twitter, and you put like pictures of yourself up on Twitter, all these like fucking freaks will go there, be like, at Grok, put her in a tooth floss bikini. At Grok, put her in a micro bikini. At Grok, put fucking glue on her face or whatever the fuck. At Grok. Oh yeah, also children. We've looked at instances of them also doing this to fucking children. So, you know, that's great, cool, fantastic. Elon making a pedophile bot. And in response to all of this, Elon just said like, yo, I'm loving this new trend with Grok. It's so cool and epic. Woo. So much so that Elon now had to make changes to the TOS, which have been implemented now, saying that any piece of media that you post on Twitter is liable for use by his AI. Essentially trying to cover for himself of a potential fucking lawsuit that may happen because of Grok's pedophilic fucking actions. And a lot of people have started leaving. By the way, that's how you fucking kill a platform. Listen, once all the e-girls are gone, why the fuck would anyone want to stay on this shithole of a fucking platform? Like, that's the real fucking goddamn question. Like, you should be asking yourself that. But unfortunately, conservatives are demons. But, you know, what can you fucking do?
And about yourself, it's so disturbing. I remember the first time I saw, the first deepfake I saw myself was like so disorienting. Like, what did you do in that instance?
So I immediately started, as I said, I replied to Grok very publicly and said, I do not consent to this being posted. I do not want you producing any more of these. And Grok at first responded and said, sorry, it's just a humorous post. I again responded and said, no, it's not. Confirm that I don't consent and confirm that you're not going to produce these images anymore. Grok said that they would no longer be produced and that it confirmed my non-consent to these images. What preceded that was just many, many more images being produced, and they only became more and more explicit. And the age I was in them got younger and younger, down to 14 years old. They found photos from the depths of the internet, since I'm very much a child of the internet. I grew up on the internet.
Bro, what the That's fucked up, man. Listen, it's not pedocon law, or pedocon theory, it's fucking pedocon law. Like, that's fucking weird, man. That the response the conservatives have are just like, yeah, well, you know what? We're gonna find pictures of you when you were 14 and put you in a bikini and, like, glue on your face. It's like, dog, that's psychotic, bro. Like, what's wrong with you people?
So they dug them up, and then they were undressing 14-year-old me, 15-year-old me, up to, you know, they took a photo of me with Grace Belden in which I was fully clothed, and my toddler's backpack was in the background. They put me in a floss bikini, bent me over where it's basically nude, and made videos where I'm, you know, touching myself, and it was horrific to see.
I feel like the children's backpack gets me so much. It's so disturbing. I mean, obviously you have multiple children, including one with Elon Musk. Like, you would think that you would be able to kind of get some sort of accountability from this company. What was X's reaction to your posts?
It was very difficult. So I went through the same avenues that everyone else has to go through, which is just 3 little dots on this publicly distributed post from Grok, 3 little dots that you click and you report post and you hope and you wait. Some of these were removed after I made a big obnoxious stink about it. Others were, I was told they weren't a violation, including ones of me covered in...
Yeah, they're probably not going to listen to all of this because we know that Elon has been chewing on the wires so much that a lot of the moderation teams within Twitter have been basically either canned or are non-existent because, again, Elon Musk wants pedophilia to be more rampant on his fucking goddamn site. Like, let's be honest here. Elon is okay with fucking more rampant pedophilia on Twitter. He's okay with it. Like, he condoned all this behavior himself. He doesn't give a fuck. he's probably going to get sued. He should get sued. By the way, doing this behavior in the United States of America is illegal. Yeah, it's so fucking dumb and stupid, the censorship that exists on Twitter, that, like, you can't even fucking say the word cis. You'll get, like, the warning saying, like, oh, this has less priority viewing. It's just like, bro, cis is a scientific term. It's a Latin fucking term. It means something very fucking specific, but since Elon is a fucking, like, troglodyte, just a very, very stupid person, he hates the fucking term because it's, like, the conservative thing to hate the term cisgender. It's so fucking dumb. It's like, dog, it's a scientific term. I thought Elon was a big fan of fucking sciences. I guess not.
White sticky donut glaze, which I'm sure you can imagine what that was, and others I just got no response, and they remained up.
Yeah, I saw so many images of children covered in the white sticky donut glaze or Elmer's glue or like other things, and I saw you were highlighting as well like some other instances you've seen. It's not like you were alone in being targeted in this situation. It seems like this is such a widespread problem all over X.
That was the most disturbing part, was when I publicly spoke out about this. I have messages from I don't even know how many women and parents who said, it's happening to me, I'm in distress, I'm depressed about this, I'm concerned, I can't get these images down. And even my mom, I called her when this happened, and she was, in tears. She's like, I was so scared this was gonna happen to you. It's been happening for about a week.
Cis just means on this side, nothing gender related. Well, you know how it is with people of science. They'll just use certain terms in order to interpret certain things, right? Like, you know what I fucking mean. It's whatever.
And I've been documenting so much of it. So
but yeah, it's a Latin term.
Of this stuff that she's like, I don't even know who to
damn
report
science nerds.
Or X, or what do you even do? And it's children, real children, that were then taken by Grok and put in bondage, covered in fluids, undressed, put into not only bikinis. These users were asking them to undress them and then put them in intimate wear that were children's themed. So like a bluey bikini, I saw a girl who looked about 4 years old put on, and it was horrific.
Yeah, it just seems like it's so widespread and so shocking because the company seems to have.
By the way, this is a thing that I've said consistently before. If you decide to make these quote-unquote free speech platforms, quote-unfucking-quote, this is inevitably what happens. This happened to 8chan, this happened to Gab, this happened to 8kun. All of these fucking right-wing free speech apps always descend into one thing and one thing only, and that is dens of fucking pedophilia. This happens all the fucking goddamn time, because again, the right are just a bunch of fucking pedophiles. They just like pedophilia. They like to see children probably getting raped. They don't give a shit about any of this stuff. They are okay with child rape and child murder. They don't give a fuck about any of this stuff. They just want to see fucking people suffer. Like, that's literally it. This isn't pedocon fucking theory. This is pedocon fucking law. Don't get me started with what's on Facebook and WhatsApp. I can only imagine Boy Meets Mini
only doubled down and actually is punishing you for speaking out. I mean, I saw that basically you had like your Twitter premium removed. Can you talk a little bit about kind of like the backlash you received from X? Because it seems like they've punished you for speaking out.
Right away, once I started sharing these things, they were putting labels and warnings on my responses to Grok saying, hey, can you please remove this CSAM of me? Hey, can you please remove these, basically nude photographs of me? And they were putting warnings on my tweets saying that these were explicit while not taking down the actual explicit content and non-consensual content. And then sure enough, I lost my blue checkmark, which I had before Elon Musk ever took over Twitter. I lost the blue checkmark. I lost my premium. And so then I rebought it. I gave this man another $11. Then they banned me from premium entirely. And this was all because I spoke out about
That's actually...
It's actually insane. And I think it also just shows...
Dude, okay, you know what? How about... Listen, this is just for the Elon tards out there. How's it feel that your fucking main man is okay with pedophilia? He's just okay with fucking pedophilia. Oh yeah, like, listen, AJ, I don't deny that Ashley St. Clair is a fucking wacko or whatever. Like, I don't deny that. But here's the thing, like... I really do believe, just based off of this line alone, that I think her apology is fucking sincere, right? I think her apology is sincere. I'm willing to fucking accept it, right? I think she's being serious. Honestly. Yeah, I'm not trying to dismiss her as a victim, though. Right. But it's crazy. But yeah, I don't disagree with you with what you're saying, that probably more people should have also been interviewed who are suffering under Grok's pedophilia fucking rampage at the behest of fucking Elon Musk, who is seemingly okay with pedophilia.
How petty the people behind this platform are. Like, the fact that you literally rebought premium and then they blocked you from it, like, it's appalling. I mean, I feel like you've been really leading the charge on speaking out against this stuff. Like, are you thinking of pursuing legal action? Like, have you spoken to anyone?
I am exploring every option available to me, and I'm speaking to several different people on the matter. What I think is really important to understand is...
unironically, she should pursue legal action. Making deepfakes of people is already federally illegal in the United States of America. That's been fucking regulated. So, yeah, she should definitely sue the fucking shit out of Elon. She would definitely have a really, really good case. And, there was an OnlyFans creator who was also seeking to pursue legal action specifically against Twitter for this as well. And I think it was another model, someone who does like safe for work content, right? Not even like an NSFW model or whatever. That was also seeking to make a lawsuit from this as well, right? Because, like I said before, she's not the only one that has had to go through all this bullshit with fucking Grok being a pedophile.
Is too that one, this was not an accident. There's never a time where you're building a system like this that these things aren't taken into consideration. And what does not help the case for X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, is that months ago, Linda Yaccarino, who was the CEO of X, she was a female CEO appointed by Elon Musk, and was that X?
Okay, I don't disagree with what her point is exactly here, but we are talking about Elon here. And Elon is a fucking idiot. Okay. Like, I don't think she's wrong when she's saying, like, this is definitely a thing that they thought about before. We're talking about Elon here. Elon is a fucking idiot. Like, he is really fucking stupid. I would not be surprised if he didn't think about his stupid chatbot potentially being a fucking pedophile, and then he just would overlook. Because that definitely seems like an Elon thing to overlook. Because, I mean, he also is the exact same fucking dude who basically has, like, trying to pay off a victim of sexual assault by trying to get her a fucking horse. I would not be surprised if that dumbass Elon definitely did not think about that shit. I'm gonna be quite honest.
For quite some time. She resigned back in July, and what people tend to forget about the context of her resignation is that within the 24 to 48 hours that she resigned, right before, Grok had a bunch of text-based, explicit, very gory abuse content put out about her. And so they were very aware of the capabilities of this machine, of this AI, to do those things without generating the images. So they knew it was an issue. They didn't address it before they did this, and then they're firing their head of safety, or the head of safety leaves right before this is released. So even if they were to fix it tomorrow, we really should be asking questions about how did this happen in the first place? Are you really telling me you had no idea? Because it doesn't seem that way.
Well, especially throughout all of this, Elon Musk has encouraged...
It's because Elon Musk just hates women, because he's a fucking incel, because Grimes left him. Like, okay, let's keep it okay, we're gonna be so fucking for real. It's because Elon's a fucking incel and he's not felt the touch of a woman for a really long time because he's like an ostensibly like miserable fucking weirdo. We're keeping it a fucking $1.50, okay? It's because Elon Musk wants to probably fuck kids because he's a weirdo. Every conservative wants to fuck kids. It's not pedocon theory, it's pedocon fucking law, okay? Listen, we're always going to be on that train, whether you fucking like it or not, conservatives. You guys just want to rape kids. Like, let's be quite honest here. You love child rape. You don't think of children as humans, so of course you guys would be okay with child rape. Like, you don't give a fuck about any of that shit. And, of course, richest man on the fucking planet would definitely be okay with that shit. I mean, Elon was also in the fucking Epstein files, bro. Like... He's not safe from any of this shit. He's a fucking psycho weirdo, dude.
This behavior and encourage people and actually tweeted out like tips on how to get the most out of Grok and how to like get it to generate images even better. You know, like it seems like
that's very
this
weird.
Is, like, rotten to the core. It's not like this. Oh, this company made a mistake and they're fixing it. One thing that was really bothering me is all these reporters being like, Grok apologized for undressing or whatever, and it's like they just had tagged Grok and been like, are you sorry? And Grok would be like, oh yeah, sorry. But then in the other in other replies, it's like,
wait, why the fuck would you ever take Grok at it's a fucking AI bot, dude. It's a sycophant. It's an whoa, you tell the dumb fuck bot that you're sorry, and then it says sorry. Seriously? Really? Bro. I've said this before. I knew that, like, American media is so fucking goddamn cooked, but, like, you're willing to take the stupid-ass fucking dumb fuck bot at its word when it says, oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It's just like, dude, it's a bot. It's inherently going to be sycophantic. That's how it fucking works, you idiot. Okay, dude, whatever.
Addressing people, and also this is just a chatbot that's like replying to anything that you like feed into it.
Yes, this was not a statement by the platform. The actual statement by the platform was, hey, we're actually going to make victims do all of the work here, and it's on the user. So if you have a problem, you need to go take resources from your local law enforcement and have them track down this random Anon account that's telling Grok to produce these images.
Wait, that was the fucking response? Just have a random... Really? That doesn't... Okay, I'm going to be quite honest. That doesn't surprise me in the fucking bit because, you know... I mean, Twitter is currently populated with a bunch of, like, 3IQ Nazis, pedophiles, morons, like, troglodytes and shit like that. It makes perfect sense that they would want the victim to be the main person to do all the fucking goddamn work instead. Standard fucking conservative bullshit. They hate women, despite the fact that this is, like... That's, like, one of the vestiges of society that they pretend to fucking want to protect with all their, like, dumb fuck 3IQ propaganda. They're always so afraid of the virile black, but they're wholeheartedly totally okay with wanting to abuse women constantly. You know, typical fucking dipshit-ass behavior from all these, like, dumb fuck 3IQ, like, Twitter Nazis.
Undue burden on the victims, and it's appalling.
At the same time, I feel like it's, it's so frustrating because, like, child online safety has been so, like, discussed by members of Congress, and I talk about it all the time on my podcast and channel, but, like, the
Yes.
their, like, Online Safety Act and all this stuff, and they're enacting all these mass censorship laws in the name of, like, protecting children, and then here you have, like, one of the biggest social platforms ever allowing random people to essentially generate CSAM, and it seems to be just...
Yep, that's a great point here by Taylor, of course. This isn't going to be a massive free speech issue, because, again, this isn't the first time Congress has tried to crack down on free speech under the sort of guise of protecting children. We've talked about the itch.io situation with No Mercy and how essentially a bunch of dumb fucking conservatives within Australia could give less of a flying fuck about free speech and art in general by trying to go after the platforms that already immediately removed No Mercy as soon as it was broadly reported for the dog shit fucking game that it was. The essentially just incest rape abuse game, and that shit got fucking reported and removed pretty much instantaneously. That shit was not allowed on the platform for very long, and the memo that those motherfuckers basically put out with their appeal to the payment processor saying, like, hey, you should do something about this game. Yeah, something was already done. It was purely, like, at that point, it's just like, oh, you guys are just doing this purely for the fucking grift, and because you guys are a bunch of fucking liars.
Just no accountability.
It is definitely CSAM, like, without a doubt, and many of these things are a violation of the recently passed Take It Down Act, beyond a shadow of a doubt. So there's no question that that material is the material that we think it is, but...
Oh, is the Take It Down Act... Someone would give me a quick reminder. Is the Take It Down Act... Is that is that the deepfake legislation, right? Let me double check. Take It Down Act. I don't remember exactly. Yes, it is the deepfake thing. Okay, cool. I didn't remember the name of the act. I knew that, like, there was something that was passed by Congress talking about the regulations of deepfakes, right? And okay, yeah, that's what it was. Great, fantastic. I'm glad that's being mentioned.
They're oddly quiet on it, and if you realize, I think it was today or yesterday, that XAI now has a new Pentagon contract. This is appalling.
Of course.
So many times censorship, you were absolutely right.
Yeah, this is a great point. Again, I'm agreeing with fucking Ashley St. Clair. This is a good point. Yeah, like, unironically, Grok is about to get integrated with the fucking Pentagon, and Elon recently had a meeting with Pete Hegseth about that shit. Let that sink in.
Funneled in and ushered in under the guise of protecting certain groups or certain demographics. And I spoke ad nauseum with the BBC about this and said, hey, the UK, it's really good that you guys are now trying to ban this or take action against Grok for producing these images, but you kind of stepped on the rake here because you guys had so many very laborious censorship efforts that nobody's going to take this seriously, even though it really needs to be taken seriously now.
Exactly, because now we actually do need
That's
to
a good point as
prevent
well.
harmful content for minors and adults online.
Yeah, that stop. God, what's the name of that stupid act? With the Stop Online Act. God, I forget the name of it. With the British version of this. It's so ridiculously broad, and it's going to affect general sort of, like, speech and censorship. No, it's not SOPA. I forget the fucking name of the act. We've talked about it on this channel before. It's basically, like, an excuse for the British nanny state to essentially implement AI security measures with it's like the same, like, social media bans that the Australians have also passed as well, which are essentially just meant to be carve-outs for AI security firms to essentially be allowed to just spy on people. Like, unironically, it's all just Patriot Act 2 fucking electric boogaloo bullshit.
And we can't do that because they have all these ridiculous, like, censorship and surveillance laws in place, and they've, like you said, poisoned the well with all of it. Tell me a little bit about, like, your history on Twitter, because I feel like you've been on it for a long time. Can you talk about kind of, like, how you got on and started building a platform and how your experience of the platform has evolved?
So I am very much...
Yeah, 1000%, Alex. That doesn't stop this. It basically AI age gates you, and you have to upload ID to it. And the thing is all these like AI measures to try to like scan your fucking face, those aren't necessarily 100% effective either. They will also like basically always just get completely fucking duped by like a random picture. Like you can just take like a pic. I've seen like pictures of someone take like Norman Reedus, I think also of The Rock, and basically like do it to like those AI age gate things, and then you just let them in anyways.
Product of the internet. I was kind of that first generation that just grew up on the internet all the time, you know, had a Facebook account at 11 or 12. And then I got on Twitter relatively young as a teenager and just kind of joked around and said provocative things. And it was just a place to kind of get everything off your chest. And it obviously evolved once I was around 18 and went to college and I started dipping my toes into politics. And the moment I started doing that, I very quickly...
Yeah, I knew people who had Facebook accounts that early.
As soon as I was saying anything that was like slightly right of center, it would be picked up and shared by others within the right-wing community. And at that time on Twitter, it was like the 2016 era. They really wanted more, especially young women, to be a part of this and usher in some of this messaging. So I grew very quickly on the platform, and I loved Twitter. I really did. It used to be fun. It was more fun even when people were fighting with each other. I just felt like there was a different air about it. I don't know if you feel the same way, but it was not the nasty hellscape it is now.
It was so fun. It was like, I mean, it was like toxic in a different way, maybe.
Well, listen, we've talked about the same concept before, okay? A little bit of a fell for it again award, but there's examples of this already happening. Whenever right-wingers make all these quote-unquote free speech applications, again, Gab, 8chan, 8kun, all of these fucking applications, they always, and I mean they always, inevitably devolve into these basically dens of... porn bots, pedophilia, basically like if anything you can think of is the worst thing on the fucking planet, these platforms will instantaneously deteriorate in those exact things.
And like journalists were always like way too online on Twitter, like I think to the detriment of like their ability to understand other platforms. But as you said, it's, you know, I feel like when you really started to like gain an audience, it was in that era that was honestly, it was also like resistance lib era of like 2016, like where it was like these like super like resistance accounts were getting a lot of attention, and then you had like conservative accounts growing, and like there was just a lot of like back and forth, but it didn't feel as like vicious, I think, back then.
No, it was more trolly. It was the meme era. Memes are winning the election. You know, someone going to jail for Hillary Clinton memes. It was so different.
Talk a little bit more about your career, because I feel like you kind of parlayed a lot of that attention and like kind of like the platform that you built into a career as an influencer, and kind of like how you grew that. Because I know you worked with Turning Point at one point, and it seems like you really were in sort of like the belly of the like conservative influencer ecosystem online.
So there's also a misconception that like my main source of income was being an influencer, and I did make some income being an influencer, but most of the things I did were behind the scenes. So at 18 or 19, I was working on campaigns in Denver and working at fundraising groups and lobbying groups, and then I got involved with...
Listen, this is how those conservatives always fucking get your claws in on you. Always when you're fucking young, because listen, conservatives understand this. They understand that their ideology inherently does not appeal to people who have a more developed prefrontal fucking cortex. So as a result, and I've talked about this before, there's a reason why conservatives do not treat children as fucking human, and they will do basically anything possible in order to groom people into their ideology. This is a consistent pattern of behavior.
Different conservative companies behind the scenes as opposed to public facing, and I did a lot of the influencery stuff, but most of my work was primarily operations of different conservative organizations, different production companies, different campaign companies, until can you feel the regret where you think back? I feel like I get like trauma flashbacks sometimes.
First of all, like I get trauma flashbacks, and I was, you know, like when you're in college and you're young and you're starting out, like one thing I'm so glad about being like a millennial so old, but like at least we only had like Facebook, you know, and a little bit of Instagram, but it wasn't really like public in that way, you know, and I think like you came up truly in like the beginnings of that world. Like obviously conservative influencers like existed before, but like that was like MAGA 1.0, and the opportunities for influencers were not what they are now. Like there weren't all these trips, like there wasn't all this stuff, like it was such a different world.
And the access was much different too. It was like within a couple tweets, it's, you know, Don Jr.'s talking to you and saying great job, or he's at the event you're at, because it was truly more grassroots. It was like, oh, I'm here with Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk, and here's my friend Jack Posobiec, and we all have these Twitter followers, and it was just so different.
People forget, but like the MAGA movement was anti-establishment. It was grassroots. Like they really did effectively kind of like upend that old school like Republican RNC, like Mitt Romney, I guess, like style of republicanism.
It was kind of punk. There was something like sort of punk and counterculture about it in a way that you're like, oh, we're going against the mainstream. That was, I guess.
Okay, obviously we all know that that's not the case. This has always been the Republican Party, right? Like, there's nothing that has ever been punk or anti-establishment. But yeah, like technically speaking, and if we want to be technically speaking here, yes, to some certain extents, in terms of being anti-establishment in comparison to what it was before with the Republican Party, yes, the conservative movement that used to exist with Donald Trump in 2016 was anti-establishment to certain extents, right? Like, we have to admit to that. It was not the same as your average sort of conservative campaign in the past in terms of like the neoconservatism that used to exist, blah, 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 blah. But as we all know, And for those that are more astute, we all knew that inevitably something like this was always going to deteriorate. Sam Cedar has talked about this consistently during the Majority Report, and it's just like, if you think that the MAGA movement is anti-establishment, you're like, you have no idea about how American politics works. This has been something that's been in the works for the past generally like 40 years amongst the Republican Party. This Trump and the quote-unquote MAGA movement, this was basically an inevitability. A complete inevitability. This was always going to happen with this political movement, where it would eventually just... Because as soon as all the internal contradictions would happen, and they were plenty, as soon as those start popping up, it's going to look like the exact same neocon establishment... Even in Trump 1.0, a lot of the exact same neocon bullshit was already happening. Again, drone strikes under Trump in comparison to Obama, up 432%. That's a very, very common statistic. If we're talking about the broader sort of like anti-trans sort of legislation and thoughts and beliefs, that's always been the exact same. Both under Bush, both under both Bushes rather, Reagan, all these sort of like anti-woke sort of shit, always been the exact same. No fundamental changes there. This has always been the Republican Party. It's very important for people to recognize that.
Yes, very enticing to a teenager.
No, I know. I think it's hard for people to understand, and this is something I heard actually a lot on the 2016 campaign trail. And then at CPAC too, like even CPAC back in 2017, 2018, when I would talk to some of these young people, this is when Turning Point, probably when you were like, Turning Point was just getting started. This was so early, like they were just sort of getting rolling. But like a lot of the MAGA sort of youth back then, it was like they just wanted to kind of go against the system. And there was this idea of like draining the swamp. Now, of course, none of that's happened. They're protecting Jeffrey Epstein. But like, I don't know, like were you always a believer in like, conservative politics, or was it more just like, oh, I'm like getting all these access and opportunities and suddenly you're like finding yourself in it?
I think there were parts of it that were appealing, because when I first went to college, I went for philosophy. And to me, philosophy, you're supposed to be open-minded and consider both sides of the argument. And right as I'm starting as a freshman in college...
Oh no, she was a philosophy major when she... Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. She did not get a lot of the correct interpretations from philosophy, did she? Oh dear.
Donald Trump was going to visit the school, and every head of the philosophy department signed a petition to stop him from speaking there. And I was like, whoa, hang on, I disagree with some of the things this guy says, but isn't that really like antithetical to what we're supposed to be doing there? And so I think some of that really vitriolic backlash, which now there's a point to be said, like maybe they saw things we didn't see before, but in that moment, it's like it was so intense that it almost causes the inverse reaction, and I didn't experience life. I'm sitting here debating...
This is the thing specifically with a lot of the sort of poor free speech policies here by liberals. And this is the problem with fucking liberals, right? Here's the fucking thing. It inherently makes it such that a lot of the stuff that conservatives are saying are supposed to be treated seriously. When in reality, basically anything that a fucking conservative says should not be treated seriously. It should be treated with the sheer contempt and idiocy that it should always be treated as, right? To basically try to make someone not speak at a thing tries to sort of like legitimize it and does the Streisand effect with fucking conservatives, because conservatives consistently have this feeling of like, oh, we're like hecking counterculture, we're like the base guys, we're the guys who are speaking it to the man, when in reality that's like not the case whatsoever. But they have that talking point now because of the fact that, oh, there's been a bunch of like censorship fucking bullshit done by liberals. Looking back on fucking hindsight, technically speaking, is correct, because again, what the shit that conservatives believe in and ultimately desire is inherently fucking crazy and psychotic and should not be treated seriously. But the thing is that you have to basically just shit on conservatives. Say to them why the things they believe in are fucking stupid and ridiculous and should never be fucking treated seriously. Because everything that a conservative says should never be inherently treated seriously.
Socialism and whether or not people should have healthcare, and I was on my dad's plan. So it was also just like, I'm sitting here telling people like, oh, don't get handouts and work for your own, and I'm on my dad's healthcare. And so it was also just like the ignorance of youth. And again, it was one of the first eras, because I don't really count the Obama era as like an influencer era. It really was Trump. And that's the first time ever that you were able to get this validation.
Oh, me.
Feel like you were right even if you were wrong, because it was
I'm the best influencer.
you don't know why people are liking things. You don't know if it's because it pushes their agenda or whatever. And so there were all these crazy factors that, when you're a young and hungry kid, is really attractive.
Totally. I mean, I think I was talking to somebody that went through like the daily callers.
It's grooming, dude. Unironically, conservatives love to groom kids. You know, clip it and ship it.
Like news journalism program or whatever, and there's so many journalists I know in media that have gone through these like sort of right-wing pipelines, and it's because they exist, like they're well funded and there's opportunities. And I totally understand being a young person. I mean, I was talking to a kid that worked for
Sure.
22, but like worked for Doge, and I'm like, why the hell would you work for Doge? And he's like, well, I don't know, I'm an engineer, and like it's cool to work for the government and have that on my resume. Like when you're young and ambitious,
true.
I think like you end up accepting opportunities.
And considering the fucking labor market that currently exists now and before, fuck it, might as well. Yeah, do it for the fucking resume. I don't fucking blame the kid for working on fucking Doge, even though Doge was stupid and really, really dumb. Do I blame the guy? Like, considering how desperate people are now for fucking employment because of how bad the labor market is, mostly because of Republican policy, but I digress. Yeah, I don't fucking blame the kid for that. I really don't.
Without maybe like thinking that hard about it. And so I can totally see, especially during that era when like especially you were a young woman and they were so after like young women, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and what people,
Sure.
so I was homeschooled in high school, which gave me a lot more social skills than, you know, some people who were homeschooled a bit longer. But there was also, I just wanted the friend group I didn't have in high school, so to speak. And so
Oh god, not. She got homeschooled and oh dear. Oh dear. Dude, I've said this before, but I really do think fucking homeschooling is like child abuse. It depends on the situation, blah 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 blah. It's not that simple, but I really do think homeschooling is like really fucking bad, dude.
So there was very much like a yearning for some sort of community or belonging to it. I'm like, oh my god, they like me. And that's, you know, and I felt the same way when I got invited to a party when I first started college or whatever. So I think that was also very appealing in a way that kind of makes you ignore other ideologies or flaws in certain thinking or why I didn't critically think about the issue of healthcare.
Yeah, well, also it's like when you take hard position, or especially during that era of MAGA before, like I know liberals, Trump was always like this, yes, but like it was different. Trump 1.0 was radically different than sort of Trump 2.0. But
That is very important though, because it was not what it is now. And maybe they were more suppressed, but it was a lot easier to, a lot of the isms were much better disguised in 2016.
I would argue,
True.
as somebody that covered Trump, that was a fascist in my opinion.
Well, okay, like yeah. Here's the thing. I mean, Trump 1.0 was also fascist, but the thing is that he had a lot more moderating forces within his fucking cabinet, and now it's all just sycophants all the way, right? We all know this, right? Like, the only people that he's hired is based off of loyalty. I know there's like people saying that like, oh, maybe a bunch of people are going to get fired now. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think the current cabinet that Trump has, I think they're all basically here to stay. I don't think they're going anywhere. Because why would they go anywhere, right? Like, think about it for 3 seconds, right? It would make Trump look really, really weak and ineffective if, and like look like he's like giving into the mainstream sort of narratives that liberals are saying about his cabinet being like incredibly fucking stupid and incompetent. You'd see that as like a moment of weakness. So I really do not think that under any circumstance that Trump is going to fire anyone. I'm going to be quite fucking honest, dude. I think they're all like, given how incompetent, like Kristi Noem, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, all these people are incredibly incompetent and not qualified for their fucking positions. They're all here to stay because, again, they lick that boot really, really well.
Considered Democrats fascist too, just to be clear. I hate like so much about our political system generally. I think the tendencies were there, I think their goals were there, but I do think that there was this like at least plausible deniability, or not plausible, but there was this thing that I would speak to so many Trump voters back then that were like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. I don't believe that he would do this. I don't believe that this would happen. Even now today, like a lot of them are like, no. You know, so I do think that there's a level of like, was this always the end goal? Like, I mean, he did run on a campaign of deportation in 2016, but like, I don't know. I am sympathetic in the sense that I've seen a lot of people evolve in the way that you're talking about. I also think that like when you are in the MAGA movement, there are these insufferable liberals that are terrible and are abusive and also counterproductive. I mean, I'm thinking of like the Jasmine Crockett discourse, I guess, where they're like, you can't criticize a black woman or something, like weaponizing identity in this way that like I am sympathetic to.
Yes, absolutely. God, I fucking hate Jasmine Crockett. Listen, if you're in fucking Texas, you support James Tallarico. Fucking Jasmine Crockett's gonna get her dumbass owned. And liberals, you should fucking recognize this. There's a reason why Republicans are pushing Jasmine Crockett significantly. It's not because they're afraid of Jasmine Crockett. It's because they recognize that they can have a potentially easier path forward with someone like a Jasmine Crockett who is as odious of a figure as she is. I mean, we know she's a pretty fucking hardcore Zionist. She has consistently voted in line with a bunch of pro-Israeli fucking bills before. And do we all know how unpopular Israel is amongst the fucking Democratic Party? Yes, obviously. But do the Democrats give a fuck about any of that stuff? No, because they hate their voters.
and calling people who are very obviously not racist, and that was a big turnoff when you're first forming a political ideology. But I think it's also important to understand how much, because I watch this as someone who was always public-facing in a way and always speaking out publicly, the restraints on what you could say without backlash became stricter and stricter, right? Like if you look at a photo of Trump with the LGBTQ flag, like years ago, if that photo came out now, he would not be president at all. There would be such immense backlash from the base, and so the Overton window has certainly shifted for the Republicans.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that like people would say like maybe you as in like the MAGA supporters were part of shifting that Overton window though. Like, and I'm curious your thoughts. Like, I know you spoke out on Twitter recently about LGBTQ issues, and you're known for writing this like anti-trans children's book, and so I'm curious like how your thoughts on LGBTQ rights and gender identity and stuff has evolved as well, because it seems like that's something that you've changed your mind on too.
Yeah, because it's also, again, I didn't live life as a real person. I was writing a children's book before I ever had children, and so like I did not have any children when I wrote the children's book. But it's also just experience, and I felt a lot of guilt, especially now that it's closer to my family, the trans issue, that it's hard for me to think of causing someone.
Okay, that actually explains it then. She has a relative who's trans. Okay, that happens all the fucking time with conservatives. They'll like rah, push for certain rhetoric, push for certain sort of policies and shit like that. But then all of a sudden it starts to hit a little close to home, and it's just like, hey, wait a minute, hold on. Now I know someone who's trans, and I've been sort of told that these people are like aberrant pedophilic monsters who just look at children and salivate at wanting to fucking groom them. But now that I know one personally, it turns out that's actually not the case. I've been lied to this whole time. I mean, it's really just like, I think kind of emblematic of the sort of mentality that conservatives have, generally speaking, of how these people will, again, it's always like a sort of me, like, okay for me, but not for thee kind of a situation consistently with these people, where it's just like, yeah, dude, I mean, this is always, like, because the left has always been consistent on a lot of this stuff, saying, like, well, yeah, no, this is why it's bad to treat trans people in all these ways, blah, 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 and it's just like, okay, dude. And now these people will be like, well, now that I know a trans person, man, I kind of feel like a piece of shit. I kind of feel like an asshole for being such a piece of shit to these people, huh? Man, I'm kind of an asshole, huh? Now that I know one, I now have, like, a better idea, and I'm working through all these issues. And I've been kind of a piece of shit. I'm sorry for that. It's just like, I mean, we've been saying this consistently, and now you're just, like, deciding to catch on. I mean, like, again, there's a reason why I have said before, I do think that her apology here is more sort of honest here, because she understands that, like, yeah, I know that I was a piece of shit. I was a fucking asshole. And not everyone's going to, like, listen to my apology or want to accept my apology, and I understand that, and I think that's totally fair, which is why I do think she is probably going to be more sort of, why she's like maybe seemingly a bit more principled on this instead of like most of the other conservatives who do this kind of, because it's again, it'll be a grift more often than not. Well, they'll just be like, well, dude, they'll have like a misstep, and it'll be like, I thought you apologized for your behavior. It's like, well, yeah, I did. Like, what the heck? You should just look at my apology. Even though I, like, said I was going to learn everything, but it's just, like, they make, like, a really obvious fuck up, and it's just, like, well, then you have to start asking yourself the questions, like, are they actually sincere in their apology, or are they not? I don't really know. But I do think she's probably more honest in her apology.
Who is part of my family to an extent, any pain, and sometimes you do have to have those personal experiences to really wake up and say, what are we doing? Is this issue really important? Are they just demonizing a group of people to obfuscate from real issues? And the more I would hear about this, and if you look at my page, even though I did the anti-trans book back in whenever that was, 2021, I think, after that, there's a few comments on the trans issue, but as it picked up steam amongst the right wing, I didn't pick up steam with it because it very much seemed like a scapegoat, and I felt like I was watching a very, very small percentage of the population be used as a scapegoat and used as a guise of women's rights. We care about women and girls, and it's the only time they would ever say this. And meanwhile, I'm watching behind the scenes while very powerful people who are known within the MAGA movement and these conservative movements to be very abusive towards women, they're allowed to stay because they just do good work or they don't take women seriously. And so their own behavior and their own mismanagement of certain abuses within the movement also caused me to rethink, like, hey, are they just using a very small demographic of people as a scapegoat? And that.
But I mean, like, listen, I've commented on this before. I've talked about this shit before. Like, the only way conservatives learn about their wretched fucking behavior, about the fact that things that they believe in are bad, is if it's like smacks them in the fucking head. That is a consistent pattern of behavior. It happens all the fuck. Like, Felford Again Award, fucking get your duck smoking gif emojis out, get your fucking classics and shit like this. This happens all the time.
to me, like even the Biden Trans Day of Visibility, I have a very public tweet because they were upset that Biden made a Trans Day of Visibility announcement, I think it was on Easter. And I said, guys, this has been on the same day for many years and they do it all the time. Anyone who's saying this is like an attack on America and like the transing of America, you're liars. And that was, I think, 2 years ago that I posted that. The hardest part for me is just figuring out how to make amends and learn, because there was just a lot that I also didn't know. I was very ignorant. It's kind of like the healthcare situation. I was, saying nobody deserves healthcare and I'm on my dad's plan and I'm speaking about a demographic that I really don't know or understand. And it wasn't until it affected me personally, which I know is a cliche, that I was like, oh, I'm really causing pain now to people in my life.
Right. Well, like for people that don't know, your son with Elon, his sister Vivian is trans and very happily trans, like out, proud, thriving in a way that I think makes Elon like incredibly angry or something. But I'm curious what other moments
does make him very angry, which is
you know,
funny.
you look back over that evolution over the past 4 or 5 years, like what were other like moments or pieces of information?
There were certain companies that I worked for that I can't name, but they were very involved in the trans issue. And while there were certain things that were crazy, okay, there's a drag queen twerking at this bar or whatever, and that's absurd, this really seemed like edge cases and outliers. Even working with certain individuals, it just got really mean. And it came from, oh, we're going to highlight really extreme cases, to anyone who is trans is mentally ill and, you know, we're going to dox them, we're going to put them out here, and it just didn't sit right with me. And I knew some of these people, like through being mutuals on Twitter, that were being attacked, and like they were always very kind.
Okay, so she decided to recognize that, yeah, it turns out a lot of the shit that I was basically being told, kind of rude, kind of hyperbolic, over the top, ridiculous. Yeah, I was kind of wrong on all this stuff, blah, 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 kind of a deal. So, yeah. I don't know, man. This same behavior always fucking happens, dude. It's so fucking consistent, man.
Normal human beings, and it really hurt me to see that being done and think about the way that I helped push that or normalize that as well.
I saw in your tweet, you know, you were saying you were hesitant to weigh in on this because you don't want to seem like you're like, oh, they're going to say like, oh, you're just being opportunistic, or oh, you're just scorned and now you're pivoting. And I feel like that happens a lot where, you know, I talk to some other people on the right that I know have evolved on certain issues and they don't want to speak out because they feel like it'll be seen where people be like, oh, now you're just grifting because whatever, they, you know, as if there's any place to grift on the left, by the way. There's no money on the left. Surprise, surprise.
I know. And I did that when I didn't have a check mark, okay? So I did not make any money on that. As soon as I lost my check mark, I was like, well, might as well say everything that I don't want to be accused of grifting on, since I'm not making money on this anyway. So no, there's not. And I'm back in school. Like, I'm not trying to start the defectors of MAGA for democracy over here. I'm trying to finish my degree and raise my kids, but I also recognize that because a lot of the turn was from my own personal experience, like I also have to recognize that that was incredibly unempathetic of me to only recognize it like directly impacted me. And the best I can do now is ask people how I can help and how I can be a better advocate. Like, I'm not going to go out there and say, now I'm the trans activist who speaks for everyone, but like if there's anything I can do, I'm willing to listen and make amends for those things.
Well, so I think, I mean, now you have children too.
I think that, honestly, I'm gonna be real here. That's very mature. I'm gonna be honest. I've said this before. That's just a good thing. I'm so for real. Cause honestly, like, my standards for shit like this are like on the fucking floor, dude. Like, bottom of the barrel. I don't expect like anything from fucking conservatives whatsoever who are willing to learn from their past mistakes. And she's already acknowledged that, like, listen, I know I'm not going to get forgiveness for everyone, so be it. I'm still going to, like, do what I can, advocate in what I think is in the proper sort of manner. And if people don't, accept my apology, it is what it is. I'm just going to keep doing my own thing. And it's just like, I mean, like, what else can you really say? Like, what else? What else can be fucking said here? I'm curious if, like, Vivian herself said anything about this. I'm very, very curious. But, like, well, like, what can you say? It's just good. Maybe, like, Dark Woke 2 is finally helping these, like, simpering conservatives or, like, former conservatives finally recognize the error of their ways, I suppose, for lack of a better term, to sound rather holier than thou, I suppose, that it was always a lie. It was always a grift. It was always full of shit. And this is like, pretty much what was always intended from conservatives. This shit was always meant to be a complete fucking grift. Pretty much from the beginning.
And you can raise your children in a loving environment and accept them no matter how they turn out, you know, which I think matters.
I want them to be kind individuals. Like, if they were ever saying some of the things that I've seen online, like, I wouldn't know who they are. You know, I would be so disappointed in myself if my children spoke the way that some of these people speak about these communities. And so I have to be a better example because I was quite mean and not understanding at all.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's so crazy too. I mean, the hypocrisy from the conservative movement, as somebody that grew up around a lot of like old school Republicans, where it was very much like, get the government out of my life, maybe more libertarian. It seems like there's just this like aggressive effort to police other people and police other people's like gender expression and identity and like the way they want to live their lives.
Whoa, it's almost as if conservatives have always been hypocrites and they don't believe anything. And in fact, that the only thing that these motherfuckers have always believed in is the only things the people have ever believed in is just abusing children and giving more money to the people who abuse children. Very, very cool, conservatives.
I just think like they deserve the personal liberties that we all deserve, which is the right to just like live their life in peace and do whatever they want, like wear whatever they want, change their name to whatever they want. Like who cares? You know, they're not harming anyone.
It's also when they frame it as some mental illness, this also insinuates that these people are well who are saying this, and there's an incredible amount of delusion with many of these people on the right who are calling themselves men and are giant face. So,
real. Wait, she's so real for that one, dude. I don't know how many fucking like pussy ass fucking loser dipshit ass conservative men come into my fucking goddamn comment section all the time and go like, well, Renee Nicole Good deserved it. She broke the law. Even though, like, you look at the video, it's so fucking ridiculously obvious that she didn't break the law or anything whatsoever. But these, like sniveling fucking morons, these cowards, these pathetic fucking losers are always going to be like, well, you know, she deserved it because, you know, I'm just, like, upset about the fact that Stacy fucking hates me and she chose Chad or Tyrone over me during high school. It's just like, yeah, we get it, dude. It's a projection of your own fucking insecurities that you have about liberal white women because, again, you want your dick inside a liberal white woman so fucking badly, like, so fucking badly, that you're willing to make your whole political ideology just based around that, despite the fact that those motherfuckers will never like you. Ever like those people. You know, Sigmund Freud, blah, 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 blah.
They need to figure out who they are and do some introspection there.
I feel like one of the biggest topics in sort of like Trump 2.0 or like one of the biggest issues right now is immigration. And I think a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of Trump voters from Trump 1.0 that say that they regret voting for him a second time now that they're seeing, you know, ICE in sort of like the brutality of like deporting people. Never mind, by the way, that Joe Biden was happily funding ICE and Obama, so whatever. But, you know, I think both parties are complicit when it comes to the ICE stuff. But have your views on any other issues like immigration changed, or like how has sort of evolving your perspective on LGBTQ rights, healthcare, et cetera, like affected like I guess like the way you view these other issues?
So I'll preface this too by saying a lot of change is not only from my personal experience, that I do think getting off the internet for a while was very helpful because it was the first time since I was 10 or 11 that I had been off the internet when I had this very public scandal and decided to take like a mental health hiatus for quite some time. So I was able to develop and really think about my own experiences on my own terms. And one of those was also immigration, because I did a lot of reporting at the border. And I saw vast amounts of people coming in here who we did not know who they were. And from my perspective, I was like, this is a massive national security issue to not know who's coming in here and to see burned IDs and passports and buried IDs at the border. And we don't know where these children are. And at one point I was arguing with Mark Cuban in direct messages about this issue.
I'm really curious to see if she's willing to acknowledge that the main reason a lot of this stuff happens is because of Republican policy in of itself. And because we all know, again, who was the main guy who did the Venezuelan 2019 coup? It was fucking Trump. This happened under Trump. The most recent wave of Venezuelan migration, guess who fucking helped spur that on? Oh, it was Trump. The reason why millions of Venezuelans left during the time around COVID. Again, oh, it's because of fucking Trump, man. And Republicans, and I've said this very, very often, they are like wholeheartedly incapable of being able to take any responsibility for their own actions. Like, they just can't do it. They will never do it. They will never accept that they have a part to play in the fact that, oh, well, I kind of caused this, so I should have some fault for this. But they never acknowledge it. Ever. Ever, ever, ever.
He was on his like Kamala spin, and he was a bit of a lolcow, and he was telling me, you know, Ashley, they're going to torture people, they're going to pull women and children out, they're going to pull grandmothers out, and Stephen Miller's going to go berserk. And I was like, that's not going to happen. You're wrong. They're just going to get the criminals out, and this is a national security issue. And I reread those messages a couple weeks ago, and there's like dozens of messages between us, and I'm like, oh my god, Mark Cuban was right. Everything he said, I was like, Mark Cuban was right. And that's another thing that I feel immense guilt for.
Mark Cuban was right, dude.
I cultivated an audience of right-wingers because there were certain things that I said that aligned with them at the time. Okay, I think most people, again, you mentioned Biden and Obama, I think a majority of people would say we should have some border security. We should know who's coming in the country. We should know where the children coming in the country are. But that also evolved over time to where, no, we don't want any immigrants in here. We're going to take them all out. We're going to deport people who have been here for decades and are good people with no criminal history, and they're sitting here saying, you know, oh, and I've repeated these talking points.
Vast majority of the people, even if they are illegal migrants, will have like basically no criminal history. The only criminal history will be the fact that they are illegal migrants. Quick reminder, as always, being an illegal migrant is just a civil misdemeanor. The fact that the federal government is doing enforcement on people with a bunch of civil misdemeanors is something people should be thinking more about how just fucking insane that is.
It's like, oh, it's 100% the crime rate for immigrants because they're here illegally. But what I also realized is they love statistics, except when it's about demographics. They don't like that men commit 92% of violent crimes, that they commit 98% of sexual assault, sexual violence. And there was another moment where I'm like, this is really being used as a scapegoat. And there is some merit to having sovereignty as a country, but we should not be ripping out grandmothers and children and people who didn't do anything and shooting women in the face, moms in the face, because it was legally justifiable. Because these are the same people who were cheering me on when I was running away from National Guard for the COVID papers. You know, so there's, to me, that's logically inconsistent. And I know anyone listening to this is going to say, well, you didn't have a car, you weren't bringing your life at risk. Well, if you take the left's logic, I was, because COVID and the pandemic and all of this stuff. So there is an argument for that as well. I don't know. I just don't recognize what I was a part of. And I think in the moment it's a lot different, but looking back on things that I've said and things that I've helped usher in, like, I feel very dissociated. And I'll read it and I'm like, did I really say that? That was something I said? Like, this isn't Photoshop, I said that? Again, I've been very quiet on these issues because I don't want to come out and say, now I know everything. And now I have this, you know, flip-flopped view, when in reality, the only thing I'm doing is trying to understand offline. I'm trying to speak to people. I'm trying to read. I'm trying to get information outside of tribes that I think
Dude, it really is. It's the era of no more anti-intellectualism. No more anti-intellect. Maybe it really is like the time of learning. No one being anti-intellectual anymore. Is it? Can we say this? Is it safe to say that the times are changing? Anti-intellectualism is going to start to fucking die off in the United States of America. Okay, I mean, like, probably not, but listen, a man can dream. Can a man dream? Can a man be allowed to dream, please?
has been helpful in developing just like a more human and reasonable understanding of all of these issues.
It's interesting too because I feel like there's been so much fracturing in the MAGA movement. Obviously, everyone's been following the like drama with the right-wing influencer world, and like there's a lot of infighting and messiness and stuff. But it also does seem like a lot. I mean, part of why Candace Owens is so ascendant is speaking out against MAGA and calling on the hypocrisies. Obviously, very different hypocrisies. Like with her, it's mostly about Israel and whatever she thinks happened. The French Foreign Legion, you know, killing Charlie Kirk or whatever is the latest sort of thing. But you know, I do think that she has accurately
something
at
Egypt
like
planes, whatever.
And I'm curious, kind of like what your experience has been like so far. Like it is hard to be ostracized and like have people that were very kind to you previously like backed away or cut you off or treated you differently.
Oh yeah, and people can say whatever they want about someone like me or someone like Candace, but what they can't say is that we didn't see the underbelly of that beast. And people can demean me as just some conservative e-girl grifter, but that's really diminishing to the things that I saw and the places I was and the people I worked for and worked with. And I did see how a lot of these things operate behind the scenes and what some of the true convictions of certain individuals were. It has been really hurtful because you also get to know these people as human beings. Like I know their families and their kids and their parents, and they will say so loudly, we're speaking up because this is the right thing to do. And they won't speak up when someone like me, who they know is a good mom, they know that all of these things being said are not true. They're silent because they are very scared to be ostracized themselves. Because the party who is so vehemently against cancel culture is very easy to get canceled on the right. If you say, hey, I like some immigration, that's not kosher.
This is a very listen. It's true. Listen, I've talked about this before as well. For all the talk that the right loves to do about how they're anti-cancel culture, these motherfuckers at the drop of a hat will be instantaneously the most cancel-happy motherfuckers on the planet. Like, drop of a fucking hat. If they can be cancel-happy, they'll be cancel-happy. They're just, it's all hypocrisy. Very, very often hypocrisy with the right wing. And are they willing to accept any sort of like culpability or responsibility for that? Of course not. Like, what are you, fucking crazy? Like, no, they never do. Which is why it's important to always just like point out the fact that it's like, dog, listen, they will just come after you just because fuck you, suck my dick, eat my shit kind of a deal. And they will. And they're going to be like gleefully hypocritical about it. They don't give a shit about any of this stuff. They don't give a fuck about any of that whatsoever. But I don't know. Like, maybe am I being like too positive here or something? Am I being like too hopeful or some shit? I have no fucking idea. You know, I always want to try to be a person who sees the sort of like, I guess for like lack of a better term, the better side of people if fucking possible. And I want to be like, yeah, I think like maybe she is improving, probably is improving for the better. And I think that's like good and great and wonderful and all that shit. I do want to just believe. But, you know, again, I will understand, like, not everyone's going to fucking accept that shit. Like, I do think that she is being sincere in her apology. And again, pointing out these hypocrisies to the right is a good thing. The problem is that a lot of people are just not going to give much of a flying fuck about any of that shit. Because, again, these people have always just been so inherently fucking hypocritical. It's just tough, dude. It's tough.
You're not going to be taken seriously on the right at all. You're going to be ostracized. No party for you. Even recently, Sarah Gonzalez, who I'm sure nobody knows, is a right-wing YouTuber, and she had a lot to say about my recent comments on the trans community and my apology to the trans community and the guilt that I felt. And at one point, as a gotcha, she says, everyone should unfollow her. Be careful who your heroes are, which, by the way, if I was ever your hero, just posting online, you have deeper problems than me, not, you know, feeling bad that I said mean things about trans people. But she goes on to say, and by the way, just so you guys all know, she secretly would message me years ago when I would make jokes about repealing the 19th Amendment and tell me that that wasn't funny and that they actually want to take rights away from women. And I was like, is this like really the gotcha that I think women should vote and I don't think your jokes are funny? So I don't know. And I look at all of this and I think many years ago I would have been more hurt by it, but I just think they're all really sad and silly people.
Well, it's hard. And I think also it's like you said.
Oh man. Ah, dude. Like, left wingers have been saying this consistently that the right are some of the most saddest fucking losers on the planet. And oh boy, they really are real fucking sad losers. Cause like, man, like what else do you say, dude? Like, you point out all these fucking things with the right wing, and it's just like, no, it just like always goes inherently over their head. It's just like, dog, like what are you supposed to say, man? Like, what lessons are meant to be fucking gleaned from these people who just don't give a fuck about any of this stuff? I mean, yeah, she did say it, and she's just right. Like, the saddest bunch, I think, ever on the fucking planet are just the right-wingers. Like, I'm gonna be quite honest.
It's like, it's so hard to speak. I mean, I talked to another sort of former MAGA influencer who went the opposite way and then became very Democrat. And I think sometimes, like, you feel so ostracized that you want to just, like, rush to, like, the other team or whatever.
Shut up, Women's Mini.
You know? And then you get sort of disenchanted with this whole system.
Yeah, there's so many issues with the Democrat Party. I also don't think they're radical enough, if I'm being honest. Like, they're not radical enough for me to join, because I'm sitting here listening to the most powerful people in the world complain about, like, socialism and healthcare and handouts, and the handouts in question is, like, my mom going to the hospital when she has a heart attack. And the Democrats really have not stepped up to the plate on the real issues at hand. They're also being very trivial about the issues that
True.
platforms. So I'm not running into
I hate the Democrats.
I will say it was I know I cried, but when I put out that statement, my apology to the people that I had hurt within the trans community, there was a certain individual who did not like that very much, and now there are, 122,000 posts on the subject attacking me and threatening my family, and I wanted to cry because there were people on the left and within the trans community that were then sticking up.
Who is the certain individual? I'm gonna guess it's on the right. I mean, she has had very public spats with, like, a lot of large right-wing fucking figures, so it makes sense that they really fucking hate her guts. I mean, like, I don't know, man. I don't want to do, like, fell for it again award kind of a deal. It's like, okay, I mean, you fell for it again. Like, I mean, this has always been a thing that's always been pointed out, and it's been always a problem with the right wing, but it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just, it gets to a point where it's just kind of sad, dude.
For me, and they didn't know me that, and I'm not asking for them to do that, and I really said quite mean things, but, like, that was, to me, like, that was very kind. So
I mean, I saw, Elon Musk is trying to, like, use the fact that you said, like, wow, I feel really bad for, my role in this, and, like, these are laws, is trying to use that as some, like, excuse to take the child that you have together away and fight for full custody or something obscene, which is disgusting. And also saying that you're trying to, like, trans your...
How the fuck? What? Okay, I didn't know that. That's fucking psychotic. I don't think... I don't really think that's going to fucking work, man, in a court of law. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, she can just like, okay, Ashley St. Clair can just, like, pull up her fucking tweets where she talks about Elon pay fucking child support and easily win that fucking argument, Elon. Like, but then we're talking about Elon here. Elon's a fucking idiot. I don't think she was mean enough. Yeah, like, I mean, you can quibble about that, right? Like, yeah, should she have been more of a fucking asshole to all these, like, conservative fucking freaks? Yeah, sure, fuck it, whatever, right? Like, that's ultimately, like, someone, like, the determination for someone to come to, right? Like, sure, she could have been, like, more of a fucking asshole to these people, because they do deserve to be, like, treated like complete shit, and you should just fucking hate them. But I don't know. It's one of those situations where it's just, like, it's difficult for me to sort of, like, judge the sort of degree of meanness that you should treat these, like, complete fucking charlatans. Like, should she have been more mean? Yeah, sure, whatever. But, like, it's one of those things that I'm just, like, I don't think there's, like, really much of a point of having, like, a big discussion about it. Like, could she have been more of an asshole? Yeah, sure, fuck it, whatever. But, I'm not gonna make a big fuss about it. Like, it's, like, kind of a whatever burger to me.
Your child or something, which is just absurd because you're such a loving mother.
While I can't comment on that in particular, there's a lot of people who are now sending a lot of threats, and it's put a real target on my back that people who do not have a third grade reading comprehension level or skill set understand what I was saying in that post, and I hope that more people feel some sort of courage to have more nuanced opinions.
Being an asshole is kind of bad,
To
guys.
say, hey, I was wrong and a horrible human being, and I said a lot of mean things. This isn't fun for me to do, and say I was actually really stupid and really privileged and kind of an asshole. Like, that's not. I don't wake up saying, like, today I'm going to disparage myself. Like, it's not fun. For my next grift, I will call myself a bumbling, nasty idiot. And I think the people who really know me and my support network, they know those things are true. And I've said these things privately that I said publicly, and when I say them privately with normal people, it's met with a normal reaction. And there's this platform, X, Twitter, is being very manipulated for an agenda, for certain rhetorics that appease a certain audience, so that people
Elon.
that normal opinions are more abnormal than they really are. That hits at you when there's that many people who dislike you. You're like, am I wrong? And that's just not the case. And people need to be very cognizant of the fact that they're being manipulated. And if the internet was blown up,
This is a very important point to raise, I think, because of the fact that people should know what's going on Twitter. That's like, normal people do not think on like these ways, like whatsoever. Nobody fucking thinks like how people think on fucking Twitter. And again, it's the broader byproduct of what I've mentioned before in the creation of these like, you know, laissez-faire free speech platforms. There's a reason why this shit doesn't work, and every time it's been fucking tried with all these differing platforms like 8chan, like 8kun, like Gab and Parler and all this shit, why they get taken down constantly, because eventually it's going to just devolve into just scams, random sort of fucking porn bots and shit. It's always just going to instantaneously fucking devolve into just complete fucking dog shit, because again, it turns out the sort of like laissez-faire free speech model, to say whatever you want, no fucking consequences for any of that, is not fucking sustainable. It just is not. Just isn't. Like, period, end of story. Like, not like, we can be as like hyperbolic as we want here. We can just say like whatever here. Obviously. It's just, simply put, not fucking sustainable. It's just not.
I don't think they would feel this way.
Yeah, I think algorithmic feeds, like, I mean, it's so interesting because algorithmic feeds also came into fruition during Trump 1.0. I think Twitter got theirs in 2016 or 2017, but that was when algorithmic feeds started to basically reshape social media. And I think it changed the culture of so many of these platforms, especially when you have someone at the helm of like X or Twitter or whatever, or any of these that are able to...
Guys, it's almost as if the hyper-commodification of media is kind of a bad thing. Just a little bit, though. Just a little bad.
To manipulate the algorithm in certain ways and push certain views. And also we know that a lot of these algorithms reward outrage and hate, and right-wingers have always performed better in engagement-based algorithms. And so I think, yeah, it's like so easy to get sucked in and think that everybody believes this or that these issues are more widespread and popular than they really are.
Yeah, and that's dangerous. And for the same reason that we have to regulate Grok, this is why we have to regulate these platforms. And particularly when the owner of the platform is indeed acting as an editor, in no uncertain terms, they are acting as an editor of that platform. They don't deserve Section 230 protections. And people will call me, you know,
true,
scorned, but do the research. I have always spoken about these issues. I've always spoken about removing Section 230 protections from big tech platforms. So I did not change as much as people think. They also changed a lot.
Well, I think here's the thing. We don't want to dismantle Section 230. That allows us to have speech on the internet, in my opinion. And we have to protect free speech. If we don't protect free speech, like what are we even doing? Like we have no chance at resisting authoritarianism. But I completely agree that Elon Musk has sailed through with no tech no protections. And all of the tech regulation currently is focused on censoring users and not targeting the CEOs of these companies, not targeting their business models, not holding actually Elon Musk accountable. This is why Elon Musk himself supports the Kids Online Safety Act. Like
exactly.
It doesn't do anything to affect
Yep, exactly. Like we know, like all these like stupid free speech, like security apparatus bullshit, like AI tech censorship bullshit. Like it's just gonna help Elon. Like Elon's okay with this shit. He's just okay with it, right? There's a reason why they all support this shit. Because they're just like, well, I slate to benefit from all this bullshit, so yeah, fuck it, absolutely. I want this. Absolutely.
him or his business model. It affects users.
And that's why when I say, remove Section 230 from big tech, because even they are so out of control and their standards are so, like you said, misapplied to individual users as opposed to the levers of power. Even if you take Apple, for example, which I know doesn't really apply to Section 230, but big tech more generally, they are going through each one of your photos to see if there's CSAM. Yet they did not remove X from the App Store when Grok was producing CSAM. And this was a very well-known problem. Neither did Google. They didn't even put out a statement on it saying, hey, buddy, could you please make the robot stop making CSAM? But they're going to go through every one of your photos. You might get stopped at the airport. I'm so scared that because I saved some of these images from Grok that I'm going to end up stopped at TSA next time I go because Apple's gone through my camera roll and thinks I'm a pervert. But it's so misapplied. And there's really no policing within the tech community itself, within the tech billionaires themselves, and they very much protect each other and have kind of co-opted populism and issues that people are...
Well, we all know why there's not... Like, Congress is basically like an ancient beast. Will only rouse when it feels or deems it sort of necessary to do something about it. And this is like a consistent pattern of behavior specifically from Congress. Very, very often with Congress, they will basically just be like, why should I do a particular set of regulations? I'll just let the companies just do like whatever the fuck. And then eventually when something really, really bad happens, then it'll be like, oh shit, maybe we should have actually done something about this from the beginning. And not just like let the companies self-regulate themselves maybe. And because... And this is part of the problem. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of... Ladies, gentlemen, those in between, we're doing a Daho's favorite section, a little bit of ageism. It's all because of these old fucking dumbass farts currently in power who have no idea about how fucking technology works because they're old, they're stupid, they should all be in a fucking retirement home somewhere. And should I be like really surprised about the fact that these old farts have like no fucking idea about how exactly to handle all these like situations? Fuck no. Like, I'm not surprised by that whatsoever. They're old, they're decrepit, their brains barely fucking work. And do you really think that they're able to, I don't know, keep up with like the what's hip and fucking happening, I guess, for lack of a better term? Fuck no. That never fucking happens. Ever happens. So it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I'm genuinely unsurprised about the fact that like all these old farts are not able to sort of like keep up with the proper necessary regulation for, well, deepfakes and all that shit. They finally caught up, right? Just with like deepfakes specifically, but with the out of control AI bot like CSAM fucking bullshit, I'm not expecting any movement on that for definitely not in this administration. Probably maybe in the next Democratic administration, but I'm really not going to hedge my bets on it.
Are really desperate about such as free speech as a guise to usher in their own desires.
Yeah, I mean, Elon Musk constantly posts about free speech, like literally while he's banning journalists from the app still. Travis Brown remains banned, a bunch of journalists remain banned. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, and I mean...
Not to mention, also, just to add to Taylor Lorenz's point there, because it's a good point, all the political dissidents that have been banned at the behest of Narendra Modi and also Recep Tayyip Erdogan in Turkey as well, right? So, very, very cool.
I don't know, in terms of Section 230 reform, I don't trust the government to do that because the government is so embedded with these evil corporations that I don't trust, like, would I personally write Section 230 a little bit differently? Maybe, yeah, if I have the opportunity, but I don't trust our current government to do that in a way that would actually target these and I guess I want to see them pass some sort of laws that would actually target these companies' business models before I trust them to, like, I guess, like, reform this, like, landmark law that protects so much speech online.
We're going to have to go back to Buckley v. Vallejo.
Yep, Imran Khan as
they
well.
Now said that money is speech, so there's a very elite percentage of people who technically, under the law, have more speech than we do.
That's true. Buckley v. Vallejo, also Citizens United, those also have to be taken a look at as well, probably overturned, gotten rid of. Guys, it turns out corporations should not have the same speech protections as random fucking citizens. It turns out that's actually kind of a bad thing, and that corporations are not citizens. Shocker.
An infinite amount, and that is very dangerous, and I think that's probably a good place for people to refocus energy.
Yeah, I know. I have a whole amazing coming on Section 230, so maybe you can come back and we can discuss.
I love it. I know. I always tell people, there's been certain issues that you're fighting for free speech that I would call certain right-wingers up, and I'm like, I know you hate Taylor Lorenz. Really loves free speech on the internet.
It is like something I care about so much, and it would piss me off so much when you had like all these billionaires, including the one that runs X, being like, oh, Taylor Lorenz, blah blah blah. It's like you can say a lot of things about me, but free speech is like an issue that I would die for. It's like the only reason I like America. Given how toxic a lot of these big tech platforms have become, are you hopping on any alternative sites like Blue Sky or Mastodon or any of these?
Blue Guy.
Mastodon was still a thing. I've had a Blue Sky account for quite a while. People just found it after that other tweet hit the timeline the other day, but I just don't know how to use it. Like, I feel like I'm in the wilderness on Blue Sky. I sent out a tweet, I'm like, how does this work? Your UI kind of sucks, but like, here to help. But I am on Instagram at asc.sys and TikTok, sort of, like every now and then.
Blue Guy.
But like, they won't verify me, so I'm like scared of posting there and people impersonating the account, so I'll probably wait until I get a badge there.
Well, actually, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I really appreciate you taking the time and being so open, talking about this stuff, which I know is really hard and really personal for you as well.
Of course, thank you. And I swear, I'm usually better at eye contact, but it's just very difficult for me to talk about some of these things. I feel like such immense shame when I'm talking to you. I'm like, I feel myself hanging my head, but thank you for covering the issue too, especially as it relates to Grok, and I hope that there can be some change on this.
Grok, the pedophile bot.
Please support me on Patreon via the link below or buy a paid subscription to my...
Very, very cool. Well, I don't know, like, I think she's being sincere. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I prefer to just treat this all in fucking good faith. I'm gonna be quite honest. I prefer to just treat this all in good faith. I think she's being sincere in what she's saying, that she has some genuine regrets about the fact that, yeah, I fucked up pretty badly here. I recognize that I fucked up pretty badly here. I'm sorry. I apologize. And she's like bringing up a bunch of points, talking about how conservatives are grifters, and the shit that they've always believed in has always been a fucking goddamn grift. And I mean, like, listen, this is a thing that consistently happens now. It seems the left is pretty much right about everything. They're just right way too fucking goddamn early, and this is just another instance of that. You're telling me that the conservatives have always been a bunch of lying grifters, and they've always just been full of it. I am shocked. I am utterly dismayed. I can't believe that I fell for it again award. But listen, at least the people who have fell for it again, some of them are willing to learn some kind of lesson for the fact that they fell for it, and are willing to learn from the fact that they are, well, that they basically fucked up. So, in this sort of like day and age where I'm not really expecting much of anything from anyone, I suppose it is at the very least good to see that Ashley Sinclair is at the very least willing to be like, listen, I understand that I fucked up, and I fucked up pretty badly here, and I'm willing to atone for the fact that, yeah, I was basically wrong in my sort of assertions and a lot of the things that I used to believe, and I apologize for it. So, we'll see what exactly happens with, like, Ashley Sinclair. If, I don't know, the lessons are internalized, I suppose, and she's actually willing to go forward with the sort of, like, I guess, knowledge, for lack of a better term, that, Yeah, I was probably used and manipulated by a particular political movement in order to push for, like, seemingly rather odious sort of things. Very consistent with the project that conservatives always have consistently. Because, again, these people are all charlatans and they do not believe in anything. They are all liars. Never trust anything that comes out of the mouth of a fucking goddamn conservative. But yeah, don't think there's really much else to say besides the first victim of Woke 2, Electric Boogaloo, is looking to actually repent for her behavior. So, I don't know. I prefer to try to be positive about stuff like this instead. So, I think it's a good thing. That's really all I gotta say about that.